You asked why the container shifted. I never told you what I noticed first. The hum was already there, low and steady. Blue-green light sat on stainless like a film. My gloved hand touched the rim of a Type 4 container. It was off by 1 centimeter. Not tipped, not dragged, just wrong. I nudged it back into line. Compressor vibration. Happens. That's what I said because that's what you say. I'm Michael R. Cole, 58, Night Safety Supervisor for 26 years. Northlake Medical Logistics Annex, a windowless facility outside Columbus, Ohio. Cold storage specimen transport containment compliance. If something moves in this building, it's because the system allowed it. That rule kept me sane for a long time, and it also kept me quiet. I badge in at 11:58 p.m. 2-factor prompt. Camera wall comes alive in a grid. First pass is always compliance. Door seals, pressure sensors, oxygen alarms, backup power. Temperature display reads -20 degrees Celsius. Written out in words per policy. Numbers invite arguments. Words end them. Type 4 containers sit in Bay 3 and Bay 4. Red tags. Do not thaw. No exceptions. We call them hard freezes. Not because they're cold. Because they don't forgive mistakes. I open the checklist. Each step is 2 lines. No long notes. Confirm bay doors locked. Confirm tamper strip intact. Confirm camera feed live. Confirm no blind spots. Confirm thermal logging active. Confirm alarm routing to county dispatch. That last one matters in Ohio. If you transport regulated biological material and miss an alarm, the state doesn't ask questions gently. The hum stays under everything. You stop hearing it the way you stop hearing your refrigerator. Until it changes. I look at Bay 3 again. The container I nudged is centered now. The camera shows it perfectly still. I don't feel relief. I feel a small irritation instead. Because that 1 centimeter should not have happened. Not without a forklift, not without a bump, not without a mark. There are no marks. People who work near the dead learn to trust what doesn't flinch. Steel, procedures, logs that don't care how you feel. I walk the floor. Boots squeak once, then stop. The concrete is clean enough to reflect light. The air is dry. That's an insider thing. A true deep cold room doesn't smell like a freezer aisle. It smells like dry metal and disinfectant. Tonight there's a faint wet edge to it, like water that shouldn't be here. I check the decon station. Bleach concentration strip reads within range. Spill kit sealed. Sharps container locked. I pass the crash cart. We keep one even though we handle cargo, not patients. Because everyone who works nights has a story. I look at the camera wall again. Bay 3 is still. Bay 4 is still. The hum dips for a second, then returns. I stop walking. Just to listen. My jaw tightens once. Then I let it go. I pull up the electronic log. No alerts, no temperature excursions, no camera interruptions. The log is clean. That should have settled me. It doesn't. Shared pain for our kind is expectation. At -20 degrees Celsius, things do not shift. At -20, moisture does not hang in the air. I check the HVAC readout anyway. Filters changed yesterday. Humidity stable. No alarm history. I whisper, stay routine. Not dramatic, just procedural. A soft pause. Then I move again. Second pass is the bays. Policy says stay behind the line unless a seal is broken. I stay behind the line. Bay 3, I count containers. 1 through 23, I count again. 23. Nothing looks disturbed. The tags hang straight. The tamper strips don't curl. I don't touch anything. Touch makes you responsible. I move to the workstation. Open the camera archive. Scroll back 10 minutes. The container is centered. Scroll back 20 minutes. Centered. Scroll back 30 minutes. For one frame, the alignment is different. Not the container moving. The container already wrong. I blink. The frame is gone. I scroll again. It's centered in every frame now, like the wrong frame never existed. A breath catches in my throat once, then releases. That makes no sense, and my job is built on sense. I check the timestamp. It reads 11:47 p.m., written in words on the export report. I export the clip anyway. File saves. Then the file name changes by itself. It drops the bay number. It keeps only the date. I stare at that for 2 seconds. My fingers hover over the keyboard. I press backspace too hard once. The key clicks sharp in the quiet. That's my frustration showing, and it annoys me. Then I stop. Because the system doesn't behave like a tired man. The system behaves like it knows what it's doing. I take a step closer to the glass without crossing the line. The container looks ordinary. Steel, frost, tag, still. My hand rises before I decide. Not to touch the container, to touch the railing. Cold bites through nitrile. That's normal. What isn't normal is the way the railing feels warmer near Bay 3, not hot, just less cold. I pull my hand back. No one believes us when we say the building has moods. They think it's superstition. They think night shift makes you dramatic. They don't stand in a cold bay at midnight while a system rewrites its own records. I go back to the workstation. I open the compliance dashboard. Everything shows green. Door seals, green. Thermal logs, green. Camera integrity, green. The hum stays, low, even, almost like breathing. I type a short note. Bay 3 alignment corrected. No emotion, no speculation. I try to attach the exported clip. The attachment fails. No error message. Just a blank field again. I try once more. Fails. I stop trying. That's another insider thing. You learn when to stop pushing a system on night shift. Because if you push too hard, you create a problem you can't prove you didn't create. I look at Bay 3 through the glass again. The container is still there. Still centered. Still innocent. The wet smell returns for a moment, then fades. I check the log one more time. Clean. I stand there longer than I should. 2 seconds. 3. Then I walk away. The hum continues, slightly louder. Not enough to call it an alarm, just enough to make it personal. I don't say everything was normal. I can't. Because as I turn the corner, I realize I've been acting like the container moved. But the only thing that actually moved tonight was the record of it. And that's the part people don't understand. If the log can change, the truth can change. I keep walking. My badge swings against my chest. Behind me, the hum holds steady, like it's waiting for the next step. Not everything that stops breathing stays still. You asked why the logs stopped making sense. I didn't tell you what happened right after I walked away. The hum was still there. Low. Even. I was mid-action, hand on the keyboard, when the thermal panel refreshed. Blue-green light washed the console. Bay 3 pulsed once on the screen. I pulled up the thermal log. Timestamp written out in words. No shorthand allowed on compliance exports. A hotspot registered. 37 degrees Celsius. I stared at it. The warehouse display still read -20 degrees Celsius. Written in words, locked. The hotspot wasn't static. It drifted. Slow, then paused. Then drifted again. That made me say it out loud. Sensor glitch. That's denial step 1. We all use it. I ran the protocol. Confirm calibration, confirm firmware checksum, confirm last maintenance window, all green. I grabbed the handheld infrared gun from the wall bracket, the yellow one with the cracked grip. We call it the truth stick, half as a joke. I aimed through the glass at the container in Bay 3. Laser dot steady, trigger pull smooth. The gun read -20 degrees Celsius, consistent across 3 pulls. I looked back at the central monitor. 37 degrees Celsius. The machine said warm. My hand said cold. That contradiction didn't panic me. Not yet. People who work near the dead learn to respect instruments more than instincts. Instruments don't imagine things. I checked emissivity settings. Set for brushed steel. Then checked again. I toggled the bay overlay. The hotspot pulsed once more. It had rhythm. I swallowed. Once. I told myself about lag, about interpolation, about how thermal software smooths data to look friendly. I leaned closer to the glass, not crossing the line. Inside the container there was nothing to see. Total black. No condensation inside, no movement. Outside, frost coated the steel in a thin, even layer. Then it changed. A circular patch began to clear, not scraped, not cracked, melted. The frost thinned, stopped, then thinned again. It matched the pulse on the screen. My jaw clenched once, hard, then released. The air was silent enough to hear my own breathing. Then another sound cut through it. Drip. I froze. Drip. Water hit concrete. At minus 20 degrees Celsius, water is not allowed to exist. That's not superstition. That's physics. I stood there and counted 3 pulses. Melt. Pause. Melt. The circle didn't grow fast. It didn't rush. It behaved. That's what scared me. I stepped back from the glass. Hands open, palms up. I did not touch the container. I went straight to the console. Logged the anomaly as provisional. Category pending. The hum deepened for a second, then steadied. I pulled the bay inventory. 23 containers. I refreshed the list. 22. One line vanished. No alert tone. No red banner. No error code. Just gone. My fingers hovered over the trackpad. Then I refreshed again. Still 22. I looked up through the glass. Bay 3 was full. The container stood exactly where it had been. Centered. Still. I checked Bay 4. Unchanged. Back to the screen. The missing line did not return. I scrolled. The container's serial prefix was absent. Not flagged, deleted. No one believes us when we say systems can decide. They think systems only fail. This wasn't a failure. This was a correction. I felt a hitch in my breath. Just one. Shared pain for our kind is expectation. Cold stays cold. Records stay honest. I ran the audit trail. The deletion had a user stamp. System. No human credentials attached. I tapped the desk once. Too hard. The click echoed. That was my frustration moment. It didn't help. I forced myself back into procedure. I printed the thermal snapshot. Paper still counts in Ohio. The printer whined, then fed out a clean page. The hotspot printed as gray noise. No circle, no pulse. I printed again. Same result. I checked the live feed. The frost circle was still there. Melting, pausing, melting. I took a step back from the console and listened. The hum carried a second tone now, lower, like pressure equalizing. I opened the incident form. My cursor hovered over report. That's when it clicked. If I report this, I'm not reporting a broken sensor. I'm reporting against the system itself, against the thing that just erased a container from its own memory while keeping it physically present. I closed the form without saving. That decision felt heavy in my chest. Brief, then dull. I moved to the camera wall, pulled up Bay 3 full screen. The melt circle slowed, then stopped. The thermal panel still read 37 degrees Celsius. The handheld gun still read minus 20 degrees Celsius. 2 truths, 1 room. I checked the time, written out in words on the corner display. The hotspot pulse aligned with the hum. Same interval, every time. That was the last piece of logic I had. No one believes us when we say biology has rules. They believe until those rules are violated quietly. I backed away from the glass. I did not run. I logged a routine note. No anomaly language. No adjectives. Monitoring ongoing. The system accepted it. The hum softened. Almost pleased. I stayed at my desk longer than policy allows. Hands folded, eyes on the screen. The missing line never came back. At shift end, the frost circle had refrozen. Perfectly smooth. No mark left behind. The thermal panel returned to baseline. Minus 20 degrees Celsius. The system said no. Physics didn't. I powered down my station, logged out clean. As I walked toward the exit, I looked back once. Bay 3 looked ordinary again. That was the worst part. Because the container didn't need to move. The record already had. Not everything that stops breathing stays still. You asked what I did when the system erased that container from the list. I didn't tell you what happened when the building forced my hand. The hum was louder that night. Not an alarm, just heavier. Blue-green light on the console, red emergency banner waiting behind the dashboard. I was mid-action logging a routine note when the screen flashed. Containment breach. The letters were white on red, clean font, no emotion. Then the countdown appeared. Lockdown in 10, 9. My throat went dry. A lockdown at Northlake is not a drill. The doors seal. Ventilation isolates. County dispatch gets pinged automatically. We run regulated biotransport. State rules in Ohio are simple about breaches. They do not care about intent. 8. I stood up so fast the chair rolled back. The hum deepened once like pressure shifting. I pulled up Bay 3 on the camera wall. The container was still there, centered, frosted, quiet. The thermal panel refreshed. Minus 20 degrees Celsius across the bay. Then one square blinked. 37 degrees Celsius. 7. I didn't speak. I just stared. The breach banner stayed red. The countdown kept moving. 6. My hands went to the keyboard. Muscle memory. Procedure. Open incident form. Select bay. Select container. The container was not in the list. Bay 3 displayed 22 containers. Physically, there were 23. The system's truth and the room's truth did not match. That was the violation. 5. A second window popped up. 2 buttons. Report on the left. Override on the right. Report triggers escalation. Manager call. Third-party audit. Seal inspection. If needed, a forced opening. And forced openings mean eyes on everything. My credentials, my logs, my note history. People who work near the dead learn one thing early. When something doesn't follow biology, the paperwork becomes a weapon. 4. My mind ran the chain, fast and clean. If I hit report, the facility locks down. They will ask why I didn't report the thermal anomaly earlier. They will pull the camera archive. They will ask why one frame disappeared. They will ask why the container exists in steel but not in the system. And they will ask why I still came to work. 3. I hesitated, just a fraction. The hum thickened again, like it was listening. 2. The cursor hovered over report. I could feel my heartbeat in my fingers. Not fear like panic, fear like math. 1. I hit override. I didn't do it because I was evil. I did it because I was scared. The red banner vanished. The countdown stopped. The screen returned to blue-green calm. No sirens, no dispatch ping, no sealed doors. The system accepted my choice. Then it did something else. A small line appeared at the bottom of the log. Override executed. Incident closed. Audit trail overwritten. It didn't ask for a reason. It didn't request my supervisor code. It just rewrote history like it belonged to it. My jaw clenched once, hard, then released. I sat back down. I told myself I had bought time, that I would handle it in the morning, that I would call the manager privately. That was the story I used to breathe. The hum stayed steady, almost satisfied. I finished the rest of my shift like it was normal. Checklist, camera sweep, battery test. I did not touch Bay 3 again. When my replacement arrived, I said 2 words. All clear. He didn't look up. He trusted the green lights. No one believes us when we say the system can be complicit. They think machines only report reality. Sometimes they choose it. I drove home in silence. No radio, no phone calls. I slept for 2 hours, then woke up with the taste of metal in my mouth. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about the missing line. Not the container, the missing line. Shared pain for our kind is expectation. A container doesn't vanish from inventory. A breach doesn't close without questions, unless someone wants it closed. I went back to Northlake before sunset. Off the clock, no badge in. Just sat in my car and checked my work email on my phone. The message was already there. Shipment clearance complete. Status shipped. I stared at that word. 4 letters. No drama. The container I couldn't report was now someone else's problem. I drove home again. I told my wife I was tired. That part was true. There were no footsteps in the house, no shadows, no strange noise, no comfort either. At midnight, I opened my laptop. Not my work device, personal. I used credentials I should not have used. 2-factor token I should have retired. I logged into the tracking portal. I found the shipment by date, then by bay, then by route code. The record existed. Of course it did. The system can delete a container from inventory and still ship it with perfect paperwork. The screen loaded slowly. A white page with black text. Delivered. Time 4:00 a.m. Destination Regional Children's Medical Center. Cryo Neonatal Wing. I stared at it until my eyes burned. That was the moment my stomach dropped. Not because it was a hospital, because it was the neonatal wing. You don't get to pretend you don't understand that. I closed the laptop, opened it again. Same page. The hum from the facility wasn't here. The house was quiet, but I could still hear that drip in my head. Drip. Pause. Drip. At -20 degrees Celsius, water doesn't exist. At a neonatal wing, 37 degrees is normal. That's what made it unbearable. No one believes us when we say a system can carry contamination like a decision. They think danger has to look like danger. Sometimes it looks like a delivery confirmation. I picked up my phone. My thumb hovered over the hospital's number. I could call them. I could warn them. But if I make that call, I admit I signed the release. I lose my job. I go to prison. So I'm asking you, not as a hero, as a human being, do I save the children or do I save myself? Tell me what you would do. Not everything that stops breathing stays still. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm asking for a decision. If you were sitting where I am right now, phone in your hand, knowing exactly what that delivery means, would you make the call or would you stay quiet and protect yourself? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what you do. Stories like this don't end cleanly. They don't get resolved in one night. If you want to hear what happened after that delivery, what the system did next, stay with this channel. If this story made you uncomfortable, that means it did its job. Let the algorithm know. If you know someone who works night shift, medical logistics, or anywhere the system matters more than people, you might want them to hear this.